How to Ruin Christmas for the Woefully Uninitiated is a South African romantic comedy series that comes out every year in December. It's currently in its third season with a potential season 4 in December of 2023. Each season has 3 episodes, which makes it great for binge watchers who don't particularly relish setting a 10-season series with 22 episodes per season type situation. It's an ensemble cast, in theory, but for me, it's the Tumi and Friends show, and will always be that. It's a show I love, which is why doing this review of season 1 was so much fun. Hopefully I'll do a season 2 deep dive at some point, but that's it. It really is the Tumi and Friends show, so my reviews will only go up to season 2, which is the last time we see Tumi, as played by the late Busi Lurai on the show. The season 1 review will be a 7-part series divided into these themes. 1. Casual sex and hookup culture. 2. Tumi and Beauty's clashing philosophies. 3. To ship or not to ship Tumi and Kaya. 4. On cross-class relationships, aka billionaire loving. 5. Love and romance. 6. Patriarchy and mothers of boys. 7. Politics. And potentially 8. Which will be a general mix of everything I love that will likely be in the form of YouTube shorts. The key themes that will get an in-depth exploration are 1 through 7. So look out for that, and I hope you enjoy it. I'm pretty excited about this one, so let's jump in. I read a tremendously embarrassing number of Mills and Boon romance novels as a young girl. Every romance novel that found its way into my orbit was consumed voraciously. For some reason, 99.86% of them featured insanely wealthy, mostly white men. Whether they were self-made billionaires or Greek princes or muscular American ranchers tending the land, they were rich. Part of what made them alluring and impossible to resist, and what made them good, was their wealth. Worth noting is the women were poor, or at the very least, not as wealthy, in 99.96% of those stories. I guess the lesson here is wealth doesn't confer the value to women that it does to men. If anything, not being wealthy and requiring a man to rescue you is preferable in a female love interest. All media has a long history of framing the best romance matches as those between wealthy men and women with nothing but their looks, if that. So it comes as no surprise that in How to Ruin Christmas, one of the main couples fits that pairing to a T. Spusiso, the son of a wealthy politician, is getting married to Beauty, a girl from the other side of the tracks, who, while she has no money, has that thing women should strive to have: beauty. Heck, she's named for it. All that Mills and Boon priming about this being the best combination had me wondering, can things really work out between people of such disparate wealth levels? Isn't that just something that works in books and Hallmark movies? Let's look at Boo and Beauty's relationship and the impact that class has on it. The contempt. Valencia openly treats Beauty's family with contempt. She looks down on them and speaks to them like they're somehow beneath her. It's not just the subtle digs too. For example, Valencia takes Demba's wife, Lydia, with her to the kitchen where Dineo and her family are cooking. When Lydia offers to help Dineo and her family cook, Valencia stops her, saying Dineo and her family don't need help preparing what they'll have for lunch the following day. The way she says it indicates that such work is beneath her. It's right up Dineo's family's alley, but it's far beneath her. Then she adds, having a personal chef has made me so lazy. Part of what's interesting to me is how such important life-sustaining work, like cooking, is considered demeaning by rich people like Valencia. But that's a discussion for another day. Marriage is hard enough, I imagine, without having to deal with your in-laws openly despising your family. Like, dude. Then the way Beauty's mother Dineo sort of looks at Valencia with what looks like respect is so difficult to watch. I hate how poor people act around rich people. And what's worse, sometimes it just comes out and you find yourself doing some shit that would ordinarily have you going like, what? This is what relationships between rich and poor people often look like. The rich person is openly disrespectful, just falling short of being openly hostile. And the poor person is polite, trying to maintain the peace, trying to make sure they don't present like the coarse, ill-mannered, low-life, rich people imagine poor people to be. How are you supposed to see your mother caught in this dehumanizing dynamic endlessly in the name of marrying a rich man? I've seen a version of this happen in real life, and there's little that's as infuriating, as humiliating, as watching it happen with your parents, than watching yourself dance the steps as well. Gold digger. Valencia doesn't just hide behind veiled insults with Beauty. She goes as far as openly calling her a gold digger. Valencia is openly unfriendly to Beauty when they bump into each other outside. Beauty, the poor person that she is, who has been conditioned to be polite in the face of such open hostility, tries to de-escalate things and says, "You know, Mom, I'm so happy to be marrying Spoo." To which Valencia, with a wicked smile, replies, "Of course, you'll never have to work again." Beauty says, "Oh, I wasn't talking about money." Valencia replies, "Don't pretend. It's just the two of us here." This scene is a snapshot of what Beauty has to look forward to for the rest of her relationship and marriage to Spoo. His mother being openly hostile and demeaning, and her forcing herself to smile through it all as she tries to remain as polite as humanly possible. What the fuck kind of life is that? Also, what business does Valencia have calling Beauty a gold digger when she is married to a politician and, as far as we can tell, has no gainful employment or business or other source of income? Like, isn't she the premier gold digger in that family, by her own standards? Anyway, so far, at this point in the show, Spoo hasn't stood up to his mother. He will, kind of. The problem is, this is who his mother is. No amount of talking to her will change what she thinks about Beauty, Dineo, and the rest of their poor family. At the end of that interaction where Valencia calls Beauty a gold digger, Valencia closes it by telling Beauty to make sure she gets enough sleep, because if she doesn't, she's got circles under her eyes and will be ugly for her wedding. Valencia is saying this, can say these things, not just because she's in the mother-in-law position, but because the power dynamic, her hierarchy, is further boosted by the fact that she is wealthy, and Beauty and her family are not. They are poor and therefore at her mercy. She can treat them however she pleases. She understands that in capitalist society, in a society that confers humanity and value based on wealth, those are the rules of the game. No amount of talking to her and telling her to be kinder to the poor changes this fundamental value that she holds. She is a wicked woman, pure and simple, and this is the family that Beauty is choosing to join. This is the treatment she's willing to put up with interminably. How on God's green earth is it supposed to work? How? All I know is if some boy's mother insulted me and my family every chance she got, then called me a potentially ugly gold digger, that boy would hear about it. And the continuation of our relationship wouldn't be anywhere near as certain as Beauty's appears to be. She doesn't even tell him how mean his mother had been. Like, damn, she's already covering for her mother-in-law like a good little wife. Fuck that. Peasants. One of the things that's interesting to me is how during arguments, people go back to all their biases and prejudices, and we all have them, which means we all have a likelihood of doing this. People who claim to be allies of women, black people, fat people, homosexuals, or poor people go back to default settings. Suddenly they're calling you every sly in the book related to your particular group. These scenes were sadly some of the real hilarious ones for me.
Shut up! It's off!
Mom.
Consent!
Val. Valencia.
After Tomi is found in the pool with a condom wrapper, and it's established that she had sex with the missing Temper, everyone is pissed. Valencia, however, isn't just pissed. She's in her element. This is what she trained for. Right at the pool, she throws her hands in the air and yells, "This wedding is off." When Spoo is visibly shocked, she adds, right when she gets to Beauty, "Peasant."
Shut up! It's off!
Mom.
Consent!
Val. Valencia.
And friends? Peasant as an insult has never been so well said, so hilarious. Her delivery is everything. Everything. I laughed so hard, it's embarrassing.
Shut up! It's off!
Mom.
Consent!
Val. Valencia.
She calls Tomi a whore and says there's no other way to put it. She also adds, we cannot be associated with these people. You know the ancestors are trying to show us something. That those people are trash. No, they're trash. She immediately makes the plans to start calling people to cancel the wedding. When everyone protests, she asks, what's the point of wasting people's time and their outfits? Every insult she lobs at them has this underlying you're poor and beneath me idea running through it. It's such a hilarious and timely reminder that when the chips are down, people fall back on their prejudices. And now the poor family are peasants, whores, trash, and people your ancestors are trying to warn you about associating with. Rich men are a red flag. For all the ways society tries to frame rich men as appealing, I just don't get it. Rich men are a huge red flag to me. A massive red flag. I mean, they're as big a red flag as men are in general. No, seriously, when you live in a society founded on capitalist and patriarchal values, capitalists and men who are the primary beneficiaries of patriarchy are the biggest red flags to begin with. Patriarchal society elevates men above women, introducing a power imbalance that few heterosexual relationships, if any, even the good ones, are able to successfully eliminate. Capitalist society then further elevates men who have amassed and hoarded wealth. So rich men have this double privilege that comes from being men and being wealthy. How is a low-income woman supposed to have any kind of decent, just, and fair relationship with a man who she's so far beneath? Like, come on. It's impossible to have a decent relationship with someone like that. Rich men, aside from having all this privilege, also have the worst characters you ever saw. These are the most morally deficient people on the surface of the earth, which makes sense. Capitalism is not exactly in the habit of rewarding ethical practices. The more unethical you are, the more you're willing to exploit people and take everything for yourself, the more you're rewarded. You need to think about you, and you alone. Always prioritize your needs only. This stingy, selfish worldview does not end at the office. It's ridiculous to imagine someone can be one way in the office, operating under different values than they do in their interpersonal relationships. Patriarchal society already views women as objects that exist solely for men's pleasure. This view is on steroids when it comes to rich men. Rich men who are not used to following the rules, not used to being denied anything, bring the same energy to their relationships with women. Women exist for them to use as they please. They don't hesitate to abuse them because they know crimes only exist for poor people. When you're rich enough to purchase the cot, nobody says no to you. Certainly not women. Your average man in a patriarchal society cannot hear a no from a woman. How much more a rich man who is accustomed to having his way? In a society in which everything is for sale, human beings, more specifically women, are not exempt. In a sexist society that worships men and wealthy people and despises women and poor people, choosing a rich man as a non-rich woman is a risk few should be willing to take. Nothing about the way this society raises men and treats rich men in particular is safe for women. This consistent propaganda to make rich men look like the more appealing option is beyond insidious, and I could never fall for it anymore after my Mills and Bud days. I think about how in this show all the money belongs to men. Minister Twala is the source of the wealth his family enjoys. In their respective marriages, his sons are the ones who have the wealth. We know this for many reasons, including the fact that we never hear about what the girls do for money. In Spoo's case, it's even more obvious. It's said it's Spoo who's paying for their London apartment. We know nothing about what, if anything, Beauty does for money. Men have money, and whoever has the money often has the power. They are the one in charge. In the case of Valencia and Vusi, the minister, it looks like Valencia is in charge. But the only reason she's in charge is because he lets her. When he decides that things are going too far off course, he takes the reins back and tells her if she doesn't want to stay for the wedding, she can go home. Even when it looks like the woman's in charge, she only is because he allows it. That's not freedom. That's not an equal relationship. Love stories for the rich. Fictional romance stories, locally and internationally, consistently center the rich. It's like we can't imagine telling love stories about people who are just normal. Which is scary because essentially what we're saying is we, the normals, cannot picture ourselves in love, in sweeping romantic narratives. How the fuck are we supposed to reach for something we can't even picture ourselves having? Love and romance are just these things that only the rich get to have. How? Jesus, how when love is one of those things that is technically beyond the reach of markets? Yes, money has a huge impact on our relationships, limiting what you get to do, such as getting married and having children. There's no minimizing the impact of finances on our relationships, but to refuse to even imagine ourselves in love in fiction is devastating. As difficult as it may be to find love when the rest of your life is being wrecked by capitalism, we cannot simply accept this idea that love stories can only be told about the rich. We watch fantastical films where humans have impossible superpowers and we believe them. We watch some Regency shows where black and white people inexplicably fall in love and live in peace, and we believe that. And what? The limits of our imagination is normal and poor people falling in love? What? We can't suspend disbelief enough to take in the stories of people living in a state of perpetual financial precarity finding love? Fuck that. I can't tell you how much I hate this insistence on telling romance stories solely about the rich, and when there are poor people, they get paired with the rich guy. I hate them. I hate those stories with the fire of 1,000 suns. Give me a love story about two gig workers who never have enough money to even plan 2 months in advance. A gentle story where they hold hands when walking from the public service vehicle, laugh as they cook their evening meal together, then later cuddle in their beat-up mattress for a few hours of rest before they have to go back to another day of stressful, underpaid work. Give me that, please. In this story, all the relationships feature rich people. There's the Minister Vusi and his wife Valencia, who are rich off the public coffers. There's Boo and Beauty with Boo, who's rich enough to afford a 2-bedroom apartment in London. There's Kaya and Tumi, with Kaya rich enough to afford a luxury sports car or whatever that car is that he drives. It's just rich people everywhere, as if wealth is a prerequisite for love. Fuck that. Fuck that counter-revolutionary shit. Love is beyond the reach of markets, and the lie that you have to have money to find or deserve love is one that's keeping too many of us alone and lonely. It's not having money that assigns worth to you, to us. It's who we are, and everyone deserves love, regardless of their bank balance. Love is how we survive this world, damn it. So to suggest that we don't deserve it, to obsessively tell stories that make it impossible for us to picture ourselves giving and receiving romantic love is wicked. It's just wicked. The bridesmaids' dresses. Well, that's most of my gripes, re romantic love and money in the show. I just have one more. The bridesmaids' dresses. The bridesmaids, it turns out, paid for their dresses for the wedding. Why? I am once again asking, why? Clearly, they felt the pinch of pain for all the dresses given that they brought it up after the wedding was cancelled. Why didn't the wedding just pay for it? You're marrying into a family rich enough to hire out a luxury hotel for a few days. Surely, you can add your bridesmaid dresses as a line item in your budget. I don't get it, bitch. It's your wedding. If anything, we're doing you a favor. Pay for the shit. You can afford it. I hate when rich people make poor people pay for shit. God, I hate it. I fucking hate it. Maybe in Beauty's defense, she didn't want to cause any more beef with Valencia, but come on. All she had to do was say her friends are as poor as she is. And if she makes them pay, it'll look like the toilets are saying they can't afford a few dresses. Heck, I'm certain she could have added the cost of their dresses in there and no one would have been the wiser. I hate when rich people make poor people pay for shit they can afford without batting an eye. Meanwhile, the broke person will be feeling the pinch and thinking about that expense for weeks to come. Just do the right thing. In closing, I think cross-class relationships, especially when the wealth difference is so huge, are extremely difficult and nothing like Mills and Bowen and all these secret rich prince stories movies insist on telling us. When they're having dinner after the wedding is called off, Valencia turns to her son and says, "You see, Spusiso, my child, this is a blessing. That girl, she's not our own. You should have married a Zulu girl." Bosiso justifiably gets upset and pushes back, prompting Valencia to say, "No, my boy, all I'm saying is you marry out of your circle, you're asking for problems." And friends, Valencia was onto something. Rich people are their own kind. They're like a separate type of people. They're not normal, not their values, not their worldview. Nothing about them is normal. And we should just let them marry amongst their circles. We don't need to be letting them drag us into their inhuman lifestyles. Save your humanity. Avoid rich men. Thank you. You're welcome. Once again, thank you for stopping by. Hope something here was beneficial to you somehow. Until next time, remember who you are. Love life, love people, and stay lunatic. Bye.